Welcome to Virtual Concert Hall's live programs. Thank you for joining us. My name is Jennifer Savage, and I will be your host for today's show. We're excited to be presenting our 6th episode of Jack Price's Right. And today, we'll be exploring preparation as it relates to our lives and experiences anywhere from the lens of musician, artist, manager, performer, and all the way down to eye level of the crude and unfiltered human being. Preparation. Do we really need it? That's a question we'll be asking ourselves and our audiences as we go along. There is no one-size-fits-all answer, and this could leave you with more questions than simple answers, but it's more real that way, and that's what we're here for. Welcome to the Jack Price is Right live show, and just to show you what we're all about, we have a little preview here that we want to show you to recap our last installment. And today we'll be exploring fear.
I'm afraid of being afraid of what's coming up. Yes. Fear itself is what we have to fear. I feared the feeling of the fear for not remembering any of the notes. Does that make sense? Yeah, that's what I'm afraid of. Bad.
So why do people make their decisions? Fear the fear itself?
Yes, I feared the fear. His finger's on the trigger all the time, isn't it? Yeah. Okay. I'm afraid you're going to keep doing that. That's fear. I couldn't remember the phrase I wanted to say. People vote out of fear. People make major decisions out of fear. Fearing fear. You don't want to live in that world. You don't want to fear. I had a very bad year last year, 23. And I wasn't really afraid of dying because I'm not. I welcome it, actually. I was afraid that it was over. Oh, no, I'm not afraid of death. I'm afraid of being afraid of death. Okay, I've been married 3 times, so I already have had 3 experiences. Oh, wow. I can't believe that happened. I will accept that applause for once. I think the best thing is laughter. I really do. I just want funny. You're funny. I'm funny. And we're all really funny. We're pretty funny beings. Life. The only problem is we're not laughing enough. Look at the hilarious side of life, which is every moment. I videotaped both of my kids popping out, and my ex-wife is horrified. Isn't it funny? It's got to be funny. Seeing this alien pop out of another body, it was the most incredible thing. So I had the video camera, the camcorder. I said, oh, right. Yeah. Right. It was absurd. Yeah, I mean, what is this thing? It's just sick, I mean, right. There's no fiction. No fiction can be funnier than the reality. So laughter is your best friend. I mean, every performer's afraid in some way. Come on. Yeah, we make mistakes.
And we fear those mistakes.
Yeah, we fear them, but we should embrace them. That's the catch. If you're not gonna get up, then fear has conquered you. That Bach. This is a friend of mine. She goes, I just despise you. But I love you.
That's great, isn't it?
Basically, this is therapy for me, okay? Jack Price is right. I like hearing my voice. What do you really think? Okay.
And that was what you just saw was our last episode on fear. And we talked at length about what it is that we truly fear, how do we overcome it, and what are some tools that we can use to overcome it? What is it that we really fear? And I just want to say again, welcome to Jack Price is Right. I'm your host, Jennifer Savage. It's great to be here. And today, I am excited to be joined live with my co-host and celebrated partner in crime, Dikran Atamian, otherwise known as Jack Price. And here's a little introduction. Formerly known as Dikran Atamian and now known as Jack Price, he began his career in artist management in response to his own career as an RCA recording artist after winning first prize in the 50th anniversary Nuremberg competitions, as well as He is also known as the crazy pianist who premiered The Right for solo piano. Welcome to the show, Jack Price. That's great.
That laugh track or audience track changes every time. I'm wondering how many sound clips you have from different audiences. Interesting.
We've got a great crowd out there. Yeah,
Yeah,
they're in
it's
the
a
wings.
great crowd.
Yeah. But
Okay, so here we are.
Preparation. What do you mean what exactly do you mean? I know you have another topic coming up on practice specifically, but what do you mean by preparation, and why the separation from practice itself?
Well, practicing is that topic is going to be covered. It's basically a musical half hour. Hopefully we can keep it to a half an hour. No, right. Preparation. What I'm referring to is preparation in anything. And the way I came up with this topic is being a daredevil and taking chances, not ones that threaten your life, because I don't believe in those. But, right. Like Robert Kennedy Jr., driving upside down in the plane. That's not my idea of taking chances. That's too risky. And I'm a chicken at heart. I'm a real coward. Yeah, I'm a coward. So I can't do that. But I am a daredevil in almost every other way. Playing the piano. If I was a conductor, I would definitely be even more daring, probably, because I don't have to play the notes, so I can just do whatever I want, But anyway, so swatting flies, whatever I don't mean to be derogatory towards conductors, but it's an old joke. Like, what are they doing up there? I always say swatting flies, So anyway, preparation is necessary to take chances. In other words, you can only take chances after you've prepared something. If you take chances with whatever you're doing and you don't prepare, you can fall flat on your face. That's what I've noticed throughout life is if I don't prepare really deliberately and very, very, very detailed.
Meticulously.
Excellent word. Then I find myself insecure and fearful. Okay, you see. So, and we have a good clip coming up, right? Later on that'll illustrate this perfectly in terms of playing the piano. The thing is about preparation is, do we need it? And does it ruin the impromptu affair?
The spontaneity of it?
Yeah, exactly. I don't think it ruins the spontaneity, and I think we desperately need it. And here's why. When you're preparing something
so just to reiterate, the two questions we're asking here is preparation, do we need it?
Door number one. Yeah.
Door number one is, do we need it? And door number two is,
I can't resist that, It's just I just see Captain Kirk or what's his name, Mr. Spock with the ears.
Spock.
Or Spock.
But so these are two doors we've got here. Do we need it? And then behind door number two, does it inhibit the impromptu event, the spontaneity, preparation?
Okay, let's tackle this first one. Do we need it? Yes, we need it. But why do we need it? I'm interested in the why of things. When someone says, oh, they're phenomenal, my question is, okay, why are they so phenomenal?
Why do you say that?
It's the why. Yeah, so why do we need preparation? I just said it. Basically, you'll fall on your flat on your face if you take chances without preparation. In other words, the best laid plans, of mice and men or whatever that phrase is preparation. You can't plan anything without preparation. So if you're planning to take a dive off the high dive, I used to be a diver, actually, believe it or not. When I was very young. You've got to prepare that high dive, like the twist to the right or left or a back flip or any. You can't just go, oh yeah, I'm going to just do the dive. No one does that. They could kill themselves, I suppose, depending on how high they are off the water. It's precarious. But
Mm-hmm.
I was also on a swimming team, and that's also tough. But I'm not any Olympic swimmer or
Right.
anything. But I enjoyed it. Yeah. Anyway, the
Yeah.
point is, you cannot do any act that requires taking chances, like skydiving. Oh, I know a violinist who
Mm-hmm.
skydives, and she also sleeps with rats. But you know, but you know, this
All
is
right.
yeah, changing the topic a bit. That's very
But
risky, by the
you
way.
can't do anything with an element of risk and that has that
That's good.
element
Yeah.
of
Beautifully,
yeah.
beautifully said. Very good, Savage. Okay. So the element of risk, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
involves preparation. So if you're going to inject risk into, and many people are not risk takers, you know, they're very
No.
careful. Most of the people
Mm-hmm.
I know
Very
are
safe.
super, super safe. And I don't mean to be
Mm-hmm.
derogatory towards musicians or anything, but in general, I've made it clear that I think most musicians alive today play the same, and the reason why is because they don't take chances. Okay, many of them, not all of
Mm-hmm.
them, obviously.
Don't take
Okay,
chances.
so they don't take chances. This
But
is not,
do you think they don't take chances because they're trying to appeal to a wider middle ground, like we were talking about?
yeah,
You
they're
know, if
trying to
they
be
don't take
vanilla.
chances, more people will
Yeah, they're
listen to
trying,
them. Mm-hmm.
exactly. They're trying to homogenize their playing and make it a taste of vanilla for jury competition juries. Basically, if you want to really
Mm-hmm.
get down to it, they think to win a contest is not to be provocative and different and fabulous and unique and special, but to be run of the mill, in the middle. Don't do anything to offend anybody. I
Yeah.
love offending people because it gets things done. I don't care
Mm-hmm.
who I've offended, long as I've accomplished something and I say something. If you say something, I don't think you're going to offend that many people.
So
There'll
then
be
the route
some
that
that
it
just,
sounds like that these sorts of pianists, musicians, or anyone endeavoring on some act that has some element of risk, they they remove through their process of preparation, thoroughly meticulously preparing, almost over preparing at some points. They remove that element of spontaneity, of the impromptu spontaneity that gives that spark and uniqueness to their playing or whatever it is that they're doing. What
correct,
do you think?
except one thing, it has a two-sided coin there, or blade. You
Mm-hmm.
can't take risks without preparation, but if you do the preparation, you risk the chance of homogenizing and making everything boring. Okay, so
Yeah.
you got two things. You don't want to be boring. That's the biggest sin in performing, whether it's Liberace, Mr. Entertainment himself, or it's a clown or anything, or a comedian. A stand-up is the spec.
Mm-hmm.
The worst offense in life is to be boring. Take chances, be provocative, you know, try to be funny, whatever it is, but
Mm-hmm.
don't be safe. The most it's the cardinal sin is to be safe, I
To
think.
be safe is the
To be
cardinal
safe
sin.
is the card, not safe from danger, but safe in
Right.
terms of taking chances in your work.
Your decisions, your choices.
Your decisions should be
Mm-hmm.
on the edge, and otherwise they're not. No one made any money or did anything really worth doing without risk, without the risk involved. You've got to have risk. It's just like you got to have resistance to things, like the piano
Mm-hmm.
keyboard we talked about. If there's no
Yeah.
resistance, you have, yeah, well, I won't use the word again. I think I've used it too many times. It starts with D. Anyway, so so the idea of preparing a risk versus preparing to be boring, you know, these are two different things. Now, I don't think
Mm-hmm.
you can risk to be boring if you have a excitable nature like myself. But if you don't have an excitable nature and you prepare too much, yes, you risk the chance of being run of the mill, mediocre,
Mm-hmm.
regular, ordinary,
Middle of the
not
pack.
not provocative, and sort of milky, like milk
Yeah.
toast, they call it, right?
Okay, milk
So
toast.
you have to be careful. Yes, it depends on your particular genes. Okay, so you have to know yourself. So you say to yourself, I'm kind of a boring guy, and so I need to take more risks and blah blah blah. So the chances of preparation here, I might end up being boring anyway. So you gotta really think about risk taking versus preparation and how they go hand in hand depending on your temperament. Okay. Now, if I
And know
say to
yourself
myself,
and base
yeah, you got to
base
know
your
yourself.
course of action off of that.
Yeah, like, yes, I prefer risk takers to middle of the roaders, of course, but lots of people don't. They like that regular. It's like this conductor said on one of her competitions. And I know this guy because I've played with him a lot. And he goes, yeah, you're just exactly the kind of soloist I like. Everything's right there, totally clean, no risks, no to this, and I can follow you perfectly. That is not the way to go. Okay.
No.
No. If I was a conductor, I would want a challenge.
Mm-hmm. A
I would
challenge.
want a soloist who challenges me. I would want a soloist who's really, really interesting and provocative, and I've got to follow him and I've got to get into his world. And all, but most conductors, I'm sorry to say, are not like that. I had a father-in-law that was a conductor, Gustav Meyer. Yeah, Gustav Meyer was his name. Many of you know him. And I was shocked one day. This is not to in any way besmirch his reputation. He was a fabulous teacher and a fabulous conductor, especially
Right.
symphonic conductor. In terms of concerto accompaniments, we had a few fights. Okay, so the thing is, I said, so Gustav, how do you choose a soloist, and what do you think of the concerto form itself? He goes. Said, well, I don't choose the soloist, the executive director does, or the artistic director and the artistic. And then I said, so what do you think about the concerto? He says, I just want to get through it. But I think
Right.
he was tongue in cheek there. I think he was joking. But whenever you joke, or take a rumor, for example, there's a little truth in
A
a
little
rumor.
kernel of truth.
There's a kernel of truth in rumors. Okay. So I think he kind of thinks that way. And there you get the mentality of the maestro. And maybe not a lot of them, not all of them, but some of them do feel like, come on, let's just get this over with, all I care about is the overture and the symphony. Forget the concerto. And it's right before intermission, except for one thing. Usually people leave after the concerto because they think the party's over. So they've got that element of surprise, and they better worry about the symphony in that case because they've got to bring that audience back from intermission, and everybody's half drunk after that if it's a modern day lobby where they sell drinks and cokes
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
candy. So they're on a sugar high or something and come back. Oh,
Yeah.
what are we listening to? Oh, it's a Mahler symphony. I see. I thought it was pictures at an exhibition. No. So the thing is, you've got to balance. Again, the word balance comes in.
Balance.
Preparation has to be carefully manipulated to the point where it doesn't become rote and boring in the performance. Okay, this is a musical setup. Let's say you're a CEO and you're about to address in a conference room all of your people that work for you. What's important in that kind of an address is to be spontaneous and uplifting and get them to work, because if your subordinates are not inspired to work, they're not going to work. I can tell
Right.
you, I run a company too. And unless I inspire them and install or instill in them the desire to do that work, nothing's going to happen. Okay.
Right.
So it's in every aspect of life, delivering a speech. Lincoln, for example, wow. Some of the greatest speeches you'll ever hear were from Abraham Lincoln, and they were very carefully thought out, but quite spontaneous if you really read them. I mean, he was out on a limb. inspiring people. You know,
Right.
his whole
Yeah.
thing was inspiration. So you can go that route. You can also go the route of the typical delivery. I'm thinking now of people who deliver sermons. Boy, that's a problem.
So the
Yeah.
spontaneity, it so you're saying it inspires others to to move into action, to do things,
Yeah,
to
and to do well. Like if you're in front of a congregation, I'm speaking, of course, from vast experience as a member of a congregation of a church. You get a guy up there that just reads off of their notes or their paper. They read the
right.
sermon verbatim. They read it. No good. It's not going to do
Because
any
it's
good. Just
safe.
no
It's
one's
safe.
going
It's
to
safe.
listen. No one's
Yeah.
going to listen or remember one thing they said if they don't have any
Right.
eye contact, or they don't feel, or the audience or congregation doesn't feel like they're an active participant in what the pastor
Yeah.
or the rector or the
What they're
bishop or
saying.
archbishop is saying.
They're not
But
connected.
yeah, they're not connected at all. They've lost them. But if they look at them, especially from time to time, even if it's not all the time, I believe in all the time, but not a lot of people can do these impromptu off the cuff stuff. And I just happen to be one of those people that never prepares anything. that that's
Right.
why
We
I
know
know
very
so
well that. Yeah.
yes, and that's why I know
Yeah.
so much about this subject. I'm the king of non-preparation.
Expert on non-preparation.
Yeah.
Great.
So anyway, thank you. So the sermon that's delivered in a sermon-esque style, like I'm lecturing you and you really need to do everything I say. That's never
Yeah.
gonna work. It's gonna fall flat. But if you let the listener become a part of it and he gets into your world, the only way you can that's the way I advise people to deliver a speech or something. That's the kind of speech or sermon or directive that's going to get attention, is when you make the listener an active participant in the lecture or in the sermon or in the
Right.
performance. That's the greatest compliment you can say about a performer, is he or she makes the listener an active participant
Involved.
in their art, a participant in their art. That's when you have the real synergy between audience and performer, is when the audience is part of that performance.
Right. So then back to door two. I mean, does preparation inhibit the impromptu event, the spontaneity? Or is it a different part of that is preparation a different part of that process of preparation?
Yeah, both. So let's tackle the first one. We've already said that anything prepared can inhibit the impromptu event. I mean, if you
It has the
prepared,
potential to.
it has the potential. It doesn't have to, of course. And preferably, you get that perfect blend of preparation, taking chances, prepare, and go wild. Leave it all
Right.
in the practice room or whatever, and just lay it all out on the line on the stage.
To the
Yeah,
wind.
that's the idea. Yeah, everything's tossed to the wind, and I'm going to do this, but I have that structural background of preparing in the practice room or wherever, reading your speech over and over. And I don't know how these people
Yeah.
deliver these State of the Union messages. Most of them are just beyond boring, and I can't remember one thing from them unless that president or what have you connects with his audience. Okay.
Right.
And I'm not going to take favorites and say who does and who doesn't. I didn't live in
Yeah.
Lincoln's time, so I'm not sure if Lincoln connected with his audience at all. But what comes off the page leaps off the page. To me, his addresses just grab me.
Captures
So
your attention.
yeah, they capture my imagination, and therefore I think Lincoln was a performer. So some people just play and other people perform. Okay. So it's not enough to play your instrument. You need to perform, because first of all, it is a form of entertainment. Okay.
Right.
Sorry, you're not. It's not just some intellectual audience that's going to sit there and take notes or
Hmm.
dictation. This is an audience that wants to be taken out of themselves. They want to,
It's something that grabs their attention. That
yeah,
a
it
performance is that isn't that just what a performance is?
yeah, and usually you lose them in the first few seconds of the performance unless you're engaging. You must be engaging. And preparation kills engagement unless the preparation is thought out and meant to be nothing but a guidepost or a musical
Yeah.
map. Now, when
Hmm.
it's a musical map, the engagement stays. Then you just, like I said, you toss it all to the wind and say, okay, come what may, I'm going for it. You know,
Right.
but the careful person doesn't do that, and hence the boring performance or the boring
Mm.
speech or the boring
All right.
anything. You know,
Yeah. Okay.
life is
Well,
boring unless we make it exciting. We have to do it.
right.
Otherwise it falls
Yeah.
flat.
So we have to be careful that preparation could be a pitfall that drags you down into boringness and um yeah, doesn't capture your attention from the start and doesn't create that connection with whoever or whatever you're trying to do. Um,
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm
yeah.
kind of a fatalist that way. You know, we talked about eating the piece
Hmm.
of cake at the end of the process. Well, this process to me is you got about 15 seconds. That's it.
Yeah, 15 seconds
Yeah,
I've heard
yeah,
is
I mean, you've got to capture their imagination and their mind and their attention. They got to listen. You know, the ears have to perk
mhm,
up. Otherwise, it's kind of like, oh yeah, I heard that concert. I'm not really sure what I heard, but you know, was it Brahms? Was it Mozart? Wasn't that
mhm,
provocative? You know, whatever the
mhm.
case may be, it has to grab them right away. And do we need preparation? Yes. There's no
We do.
act on the planet that doesn't require some preparation. I mean, even this show, I never prepare this show, but guess
Mhm.
what? What's the answer?
What?
I've been preparing for it all my life. In the
Oh.
shower, in my car, during a concert, I've gathered all this
Hmm.
data, you know, for
Hmm.
me anyway. It may not be
Fully
real
integrated
empirical
from,
data.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's fully
And I've
integrated from all your experiences
Yeah,
and
and it's
throughout your
become
life.
a it's part of the fabric of my life. So I've been performing and I've been preparing all my life for this moment. You see.
Right.
So
Hmm.
it is preparing. But
Hmm.
am I doing it off the top of my head and shooting from the hip? Of course. Mainly
Right.
because of what I just said earlier 5 minutes ago, I'm the king of non-preparation. I don't like it. I don't like to
Gotcha.
practice.
Yeah. No.
Yeah, I hate practicing. I like performing.
That's
Yeah.
different. A lot of people go, "Oh man, practice is I need it. It's everything to me." But here you are saying,
Well,
"Well,
a colleague who loved practicing and hated performing. I said, "You're in the wrong business." I mean,
wow, yeah,
what is there in practice? Oh, you're just going to play for yourself? You know, an
right,
audience of one. Okay, yeah, not a bad
hmm,
idea, I guess. If that's the way you are. I'm not. I
hmm,
like to perform and I like do it in front of people. But now in my old age, I have, you know, kind of drifted away from that performance thing, but not really, because what am I doing here if
you're
I'm
finding
not
performance
performing?
elements in other
Yeah, I
forms."
mean, another
Yeah, hmm,
medium. You
yeah,
find it in other aspects of life. You have to,
yeah,
again, you know, doing the same thing over and over gets to be tedious. It can
it
be.
does. Hmm.
Again, though, there are exceptions. I know people that
Hmm.
love doing the same thing over and over till they die. You know,
Right.
it's the
Okay.
same
Well,
thing, and they love it.
here
And
I'd like
I
to
can't.
pivot a little bit here, and we'll come back with our third door, which is how do we prepare properly. But let's pivot here. We've got a little clip that we'd like to check out here on Jack Price's Right, and stay tuned as we continue to discuss preparation. And that was a clip that we had of the Chopin Ballade, number 3. And I do want to take a moment to mention that we are live on Fridays with Jack Price is Right. And there are so many topics in store coming up. We've covered so many things from fear all the way back to our premiere, which was truth. And all of these topics are interconnected and fully integrated with each other in a lot of ways. And we'd love for you to join us as we explore this process and this journey as human beings, as musicians, as artists, as whoever you are. There's a little something in here for everyone. And also coming up our next episode, we have a little preview here on practice. And the question that we're asking here, does practice make perfect? And you can check it out right here on our YouTube channel at Virtual Concert Halls. We're also on Twitch, LinkedIn, Alignable, and we're streaming to all major platforms. You can find out more right here on virtualconcerthalls.com as well as priceattractions.com. And we'd love to hear more from you. Our audiences have been sharing a lot of their own free interpretations of what we've been saying, and there's an amazing dialogue and connection that we're reaching. So please write us, and maybe Richie or I will respond in the next show. So don't miss out. But yeah, any comments, and all comments are welcome, positive and negative. So back to what we were saying, though, on preparation, this episode's topic. The third door. Let's see what's behind the third door of our third subtopic. Right there on
we go.
This question
Where's
that we're
the
going to
door?
ask ourselves. It's right here.
I need that door. I mean, I need a physical
Right.
door. I want to see it. I want to see the prize behind the door, which is, of course,
Right. Yeah,
we're not
well,
giving away prizes. We can't afford it, so we have topics.
Yeah, we're imagining a door here as it goes by right
That's
here.
right.
And we're asking, so how do you prepare properly? If the pitfall of preparation is that you could over prepare and you could become run of the mill, just like everyone else, when you over focus on the preparation aspect. Because yeah, we need preparation. Everything needs preparation in order to run wild with it and imbue your own uniqueness and creativity upon it. But how do you prepare properly if that's the case? If you're trying to avoid that pitfall of boringness, let's say.
Okay, simple. In your preparation, don't think about going through some formulated process. Think of this. All right, now we're going to talk musically because I'm a musician, you're a musician, so let's just go to the obvious, and then we can branch out after that. So if you're a musician, think of the sound that you want to make. Okay? Secondly, think about the space between the notes. Thirdly, think about harmonic intensification, harmonic rhythm, harmonic impetus, anything harmonic, because that really dictates the policy of the piece. Or if you want to get really basic, the bass line. Everything's built on the bass line. Think about these elements and ideas, but don't prepare like, oh, this is going to be super even here. And, this has to sound like a babbling brook over here, this programmatic stuff. I think when people prepare, they're preparing the wrong way. They're not really, they don't have an idea or a concept. They're thinking programmatically or in a tight way, like this has to be perfect, or this has to be even, or this has to be loud, or this has to be soft, this has to be controlled, this has to be. Nothing has to be. That's the point. Very good. That actually, the gong is the wrong effect there. Jack, yeah, that's the right one. There you go. Okay, yeah, we're all learning here. Yeah, I love it. So the whole idea is the quality of the preparation. Just like most things are about quality, not quantity. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
It's important that the steak tastes good, not how much there is. Like, have you ever gone into one of those
Mm-hmm.
roadside places? They say, if you can eat this cowboy steak, all of it, it's free. And of course, nobody can finish the cowboy steak, because it's like 82
Right.
ounces or something.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, haven't you ever seen that on the side of the road?
Yeah.
Out
Mhm.
west?
Those
Yeah.
eating contests. Yeah.
No, it's not an eating contest. They're always
Like
these steak
challenges.
places. Yeah, they're challenges at steak places, and they're usually cowboy places. They said, well,
Yeah.
we got this 82-ounce ribeye, and if you can eat the whole thing, then you can have it for free. Well, nobody can eat it, especially with all the extra stuff on the side. So you end up paying $50 for the steak or whatever. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it's like, it's like a joke because no one can finish the steak.
Right.
So that's the whole idea. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not the quantity, it's the quality of the preparation.
Quality of the
It's
preparation.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
just like anything, piano playing, giving a speech, addressing a congregation like we've talked before, even talking
Yeah.
to your child, you know what I'm saying? You
Mm-hmm.
should prepare before you talk to your child because I learned that if you're not, you're going to give them all the wrong dope and they're going to go out and do something totally bad or not the right thing. You've got to prepare these things. But like with talking to your child, you have to capture, in this case, you really have to capture the child's imagination. You have to get their attention, as you put it, because if you don't, they're going to think you're boring and they're not going to pay any attention to what you're saying. And they already do that anyway. That's the difference. That's the difference between being an adult and being a child. A child is, just got all this stuff going on and we're just going, yeah, sure, you're not listening to me. And so there you have that what's that called? That dynamic. Okay.
Dynamic,
So
yeah.
think of a child as an audience. Yeah. And so the audience is your child, and you've got to put it past the footlights, as they say in show business. Put it past the footlights. Or he really knows how to put it past the footlights. That means you know how to engage your audience. Sometimes it means you're really, really schmaltzy and you're being obvious.
Schmaltzy.
Like in acting. Oh, he really knows how to put it past the footlights. That usually means he's not a very sophisticated actor, but he can get their attention. Well, not necessarily so. You've got to put it past the footlights. In a concerto, in a solo piece, in anything, in a speech. You've got to get it out there. You can't just talk to yourself. So
Right.
you
As
know what you're
performers,
talking about.
Yeah. Attention. You're not, as performers, we are doing things, expressing ourselves past the footlights. We're trying to get past that stage line. We're not just, otherwise we would just be practicing on a closed off stage, just like a practice room for ourselves.
Yeah, I mean, it's just an audience of one, and the one is you. It's not even playing for your teacher or a loved one or anything, because that's an audience. But if you close yourself off in preparation to the point where you say, I want this to be just perfect, and it's got to be just this way, and if it isn't, I'm going to cry about it and bang my head against the hotel wall when I go back, after the concert, which I did many times. And so you've got to prepare for the performance, not prepare to be perfect. Okay. So the performance is an impromptu event by design. Okay. You don't know what's going to happen. I mean, it's sort of like a guy operating on you, to be honest with you. That's why they give you those forms. They say, oh, by the way, this could cause death. So, you have to sign on the dotted line.
Right.
Every operation can go wrong. And what about those drug ads you see on TV? Oh, take lisinopril, but it could cause like 50 different side effects and death,
Right.
So, and you can bet that those chemists are preparing for the worst, like
Right.
what do you call that insurance? The doctors have malpractice insurance. Yeah. So there must be mal drug insurance too. I don't know if there is, but there better be. There better be for the sake of the drug companies. Of course, then again, they're making gajillions of dollars. So who cares if they
Right.
have insurance, right? So in their case,
Okay.
preparation is not necessary. That's a joke, by
Okay.
the way. Yeah, no.
So then, so we talked about preparation and specific things that musicians can do. Um, how do you prepare for
What?
something else in life? If you're trying to prepare for doing anything, what are some concrete steps you can, other than in a musician's perspective, what can you do? What are some
Well,
things
it's
that guide you?
well, how about this? Prepare for failure. Okay. Failure is a
Hmm.
part of life, and disappointment's a part of life. And there's one more thing I had in my mind, but I can't remember.
Yeah.
But look, defeat and uh, disappointment come right away, as soon as you're out of the in your
Defeat and
first year of
disappointment.
life. Yeah, I mean
Hmm.
everything's disappointing in a way, and everything can be just this fabulous success in a way. It depends on what your viewpoint.
Your
Okay,
outlook.
so yeah, your outlook is very important in terms of
Hmm.
preparation. But I would say a very good answer to your question is prepare for failure. Now, that may sound fatalistic, but it's not. You prepare for failure, but you hope for the best. You hope for success. So you
Right.
hope for success, prepare for failure. You can't go wrong. Okay, that's it.
All
That's
right.
something you can prepare for.
Yeah.
What else? What else can we prepare for? Well, you
Uh,
can take something, like very, pertaining to one particular occupation. Take a
yeah.
swimmer. Okay. A
Hmm.
swimmer's preparing for the Olympics, right? You
Right.
know that all of them are darn good. They're all going to come within a hundredth of a second of themselves, right? So,
Yeah.
what makes that first prize winner that split second they touch the cement and up,
Hmm.
first place? Swimmers
Right.
are really hard. That's a hard life because
Yeah.
you're not going to have a
Tough
big
business.
margin.
Hmm.
You're not going to have a big margin of defeat. Okay.
Right.
Unlike other areas.
Hmm.
And I won't go into those because those are very subjective. But
Yeah.
swimmers, you never see a swimmer way behind the first place guy. The second place guy is right there. He's neck and
Right.
neck. And then you say,
Yeah.
what's the point of this exercise? They're all good.
Uh-huh.
It just on
Yeah.
this particular event or case or day, Spinks or whoever beat the guy behind him, and he's remembered forever, winning six
And the
medals
second guy
because
isn't.
he
Yeah.
barely beat him. Yeah,
Right.
prepare for defeat because defeat can be sweet. Who doesn't want to come in second in a split second situation? There's nothing wrong with coming in second as long as you're pretty close, right?
Right.
Pretty,
Okay.
pretty close, right? So there you go.
Pretty.
Pretty,
Yeah.
Yeah,
pretty good.
I love that.
Right
I
there.
never get tired of that. It's just so weird. People
Yeah.
must think I'm really strange because I like strange. I just think that's fantastic. But anyway,
It is. Okay.
yeah, to
So
me, it's
then,
fantastic. I'm prepared to enjoy that every time. Let's say that.
all right.
I'm preparing myself. I'm waiting for Kiki on the other end to put that little thing in that slot. And I'm going, wow, I cannot wait for that pretty good thing to come out of his mouth. And there
Yeah.
you go. You're prepared. You're always preparing. You're always preparing. Always.
Hmm.
I'm preparing to walk through that door soon when this episode is over. Okay.
But to prepare properly, one thing to keep in mind would be to prepare for failure. Hope for the best, but prepare for failure in case it
Well, I mean,
happens. Or else,
this has
yeah.
been said over and over. Always
Hmm.
prepare for the worst, and
Yeah.
you got to prepare for success too. Some people can't handle success unless they're prepared to. Now, you've heard this 1,000 times. Some
Hmm.
rock star, for example, all of a sudden overnight, because of an influx of money into the career, blah, 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 he's a superstar. And then he goes
Yeah.
out and he dies from an overdose of drugs 2 weeks later.
Hmm.
Oh, he wasn't prepared for success. Well, that's kind of a really extreme kind of case, but it does
Right.
happen. There are people, especially in the limelight, that are not prepared for the success that they're preparing for.
They're so
That's
focused
simple.
on the process to get there, that they
They've
don't
not thought
think
about
about
what the
what comes
aftermath is.
after.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Elvis was a classic case of not being prepared for I mean, he had such success, it was almost overwhelming, you know.
Hmm.
And then, the uppers and the downers and, shooting the TV and all that stuff.
Right.
I mean, it's just too much to take in. But
Hmm.
he could have been more properly prepared by the people around him, but unfortunately, he was surrounded by what I call sycophants.
Sycophants?
Sycophants are people who
Yeah.
tell you what you want to hear.
Yes men?
Yes men, yes women,
Hmm.
yes everything. And
Hmm.
he didn't really have someone teaching him stuff. He either had people sycophanting around or taking advantage of him, like the colonel. Okay. So the
Right.
colonel soaked him up, just used him like a dish rag and,
Hmm.
threw him out, right? And his parents or whoever, I don't know who are to blame. I've seen all the
Yeah.
movies and looked at the books, and it's kind of a mishmash of those guys he used to hang around. They had a
Hmm.
club. They called it something. All of his
Hmm.
little sycophants from
Hmm.
Memphis. They
Like an
weren't really
entourage.
Yeah, the entourage wasn't really teaching him anything. They were using him and having fun. And Elvis was using them and having fun. But
Hmm.
was Elvis learning anything?
Hmm.
Not really. He was just being Elvis, which was truly
Right.
phenomenal. Hell, the guy
Hmm.
could have been a great conductor in my book. He's a fantastic entertainer, great
Yeah.
conductor of his band, and what a voice. I mean, that was an olive oil voice if there ever was one. I mean, it was just an absolute phenomenal thing.
Right.
He could have done anything.
Yeah.
Instead,
Okay.
he fell victim to non-preparation. He did prepare his music
Hmm.
beautifully, but beautifully actually. If you've seen some of his rehearsals, they're masterful little rehearsal things, whatever you call it,
Yeah,
vignettes.
they're well done and well thought out and
Well
well
done,
prepared.
very, very,
Hmm.
very well thought out. But he was not
Yeah.
prepared for success. He's a classic case of not being prepared for success, and hence you have death at 48 years old or whatever he was, 38, I forget.
Yeah.
You
I
know,
think the two
I mean,
takeaways are be prepared for failure, hope for success, and also be prepared for the aftermath, whether it's success or it's failure.
yeah,
Even
the
if it's
aftermath.
success, even when it's success is also important because you're not done once, even when you reach whatever goal, there's still life ahead of you. You could still lose it all.
Yes. Yes, the classic case is the graduate. Okay. You graduate from music school, you graduate from art school, and then you go, what do I do now? That's because you're not prepared.
Hmm.
So, what do we have to do? And in these music schools, I would have to say specifically, they should have business courses, prepare them for management, for lack of management, for what is management or
Yeah.
PR or marketing 101. What is it? What is it?
Yeah.
You got to
Right.
ask yourself these things. These kids
Mhm.
come out of music school and they have no idea what to do. None.
No. Yep. No. There's
I
no
did because I
preparation.
was what? Fortunate. I was
Oh.
fortunate and lucky because the package came with it, but I still missed a lot. That's why I'm doing this show, is because I missed a whole bunch of stuff in there that I learned later. Eh, wrong
Hmm.
answer, too late. Learn it
Yep.
before. But yeah, that's the sound I'm looking for. Yeah, it's a little
Yeah.
late. Get it? That was
Hmm.
good. Okay, that's a
Hmm.
good example of being late. Okay, you
Right.
can't prepare for everything, but you sure can try. You can really try. And the person who tries to prepare for success, for defeat, for depression, for what, well, you can't really prepare for
Yeah.
depression. But most
Right.
things can have a pre thing and an aftermath, right? So you
Hmm.
have the pre preparation, the thing, and then the aftermath. That's a good way of looking at life. So you got to be
But
prepared for all of it.
what if that preparation is just another form of fear? It's like you could say you're prepared for defeat or success or whatever, but it turns into you hyper focusing on the fear that comes along with it.
No, you can't do that. You have to say life is very political and the outcome is very, very precarious and nebulous. You don't know if you're going to be the winner. You don't know if you're going to be the loser. You don't know if you're going to tie. Okay, there's that aspect too.
That is
What do I
also
do if I tie?
exists. Right.
Yeah, that
We forget about
exists.
that.
If you tie, that tends to negate both people or both things. Oh, they tied. I mean, there's no clear winner. Haha.
Right.
So, I mean, look, life's hard, just be prepared for it. Easier said
okay.
than done.
Yeah. Okay, well, I think let's
kinda
wrap this
covers.
up, and that's all the time we've got today for preparation.
I was prepared for that.
Yeah, you were. Yeah, good.
I was
I felt
prepared.
that. Yeah.
You ended it, and I was prepared for that ending. That was good.
Yeah, great.
Gotta say.
So, yeah, I think that's all the time we've got. And I want to thank you, Richie, Jack Price, for being with us on
Or
the show
whoever, yeah.
and delving into preparation.
No problem. Thanks.
Yeah, the time is right, and it's time for us to go. Just want to take a moment here to thank our partners and sponsors, without which none of this could have been possible. We have so many collaborators. We can barely fit them all on one page. You can see them all up there, from orchestras to organizations to festivals, studios, academies, everything. They are with us every step of the way and growing. And yeah, here you can see our second page. Yeah, big hand to our collaborators and partners. Thank you so much for being with us on our journey. And also, big shout out to our production team. Today's broadcast was brought to you by Christian Pelagi. Behind the scenes, you can hear him chiming in with all the reactions. He's
pretty good.
He's just another voice in the background. It's not just me and Richie. It's a lot of us all here together and trying to make sense of all of this. So with that, I think that's all we got for you today. This has been Jack Price is Right. I'm your host, Jennifer Savage. I hope you've gotten something out of it. I know for sure I did. And see you next week.